Hi, this is Young Nguyen and welcome to today's interview. I've got Craig Christie, who's a dear friend of mine and also a town planner. He's also an active property investor and property developer. So Craig, thanks for being with us today.
My pleasure, yeah, thank you.
Excellent. So, I've known Craig for a few years now. The thing I like about Craig, like I mentioned before, is that not only is he a professional town planner, but also he's active in the property game. So today we're going to find out, what an actual town planner does and how they can be part of your property team. So, Craig, can you just tell us what a town planner actually does?
Yeah. Town planning basically is a process of controlling land use.
Yes.
Most properties, well, every property's got a zoning, and that zoning would then reflect development potential.
Yes.
Sometimes that potential is just a house.
Yeah.
But if it's subdivision, multi-unit dwellings, or something more, duplexes or like, then typically a town planner would work with the property owner to get the highest and best use out of their land.
Yes.
But also have a team around them of architects, designers, engineers, any of the issues that may come up with developing, they should be able to solve, thereby taking away the headaches of your project.
Yep.
So in really simple terms, town planners are there to get the best outcome for you and your development, and try and take away the hurdles and hiccups which so many people I see get caught on, which costs time and money.
Yeah. So, at which stage, Craig, would someone actually engage a town planner? Because there's lots of ways to make money in property in the current marketplace. You can do renovations, you can do development, you can do options, you can do rent to buys. There's so many ways you can do property deals. At which stage in a project, maybe give me 2 or 3 scenarios of how or when a town planner would actually get involved in a project. Yeah.
That's a great question. I think probably one of the easiest way to answer that question is when not to get a town planner involved.
Okay, that's good.
And that might be, let's say you're looking to do a particular deal and some question marks whether it's possible or not. And then you call your town planner after it's gone unconditional.
Yes.
In which case, whether you like it or not, you're kind of stuck with that deal.
Yes.
And you might not be able to do the development you want to do, or you might not be able to do the number of townhouses you think you can achieve.
Yeah.
So realistically, you want to speak to your town planner before it goes unconditional, giving him enough time to be able to do some research on your site.
Yeah.
And saying that if you sort of send 100 properties to a big email saying, hey, have a look at these sites, you're probably going to, town planner take forever to try and answer those sorts of questions. So I would say, as a town planner, I'm happy to answer questions if the client's reasonably serious. I don't want to be answering hundreds and hundreds of inquiries because I don't charge for that. I basically have a quick look at the site for somebody and give them an answer. So ideally before they go unconditional on their property with about 2 weeks prior to that. So pretty much once they've got the contracts either agreed to or just before they think it's going to happen. An example that comes to mind was one of our client that we had was looking at doing a multi-unit dwelling project. And before that, they were getting quotes and their designs were nearly finished.
So multi-unit being either units or townhouses?
Yeah, it was
right?
4 units in this case. And what they'd worked out was they were going to do 2 3-bedroom units and 2 2-bedroom units. And they got me involved and I said, well, why is it you're only going to go for 2 2-bedroom? Why don't we go for a higher amount of floor area? Because I happen to know that area, you could go for a higher gross floor area, which was the total floor area for the development. You could go for more floor area than what they're currently going for. So that was a real surprise to them. So they changed their plans so they were 4 3-bedroom units. We found about 50 square metres of floor area, which we could divide up evenly. And that basically meant more rooms. Now, I don't know exactly how much more profit they would have made out of the extra 2 bedrooms in those, the extra room in those units, but I'm sure it was worth their while, so they were very happy with the outcome. So,
Look, off the top of my head, I'm sure that's probably worth an extra 50 grand to them. Profit. So,
I'm not sure, but it took me about a minute to work it out for them. So,
Excellent. So you're saying that one of the ways that a town planner would get involved with an investor is if, for example, they're wanting to develop a set of townhouses or units. And what about land subdivisions and things like that? Is that one of the things that you deal with or get involved in?
You mentioned earlier I did my own developments, and recently that's what I've been focusing on is subdivisions. So with subdivision, really what subdivision? Well, there's different types of subdivision. One's strata subdivision, whereby you may be breaking up units within a complex, within a development site. The one I'm more involved is what we may call land subdivision. And so I like land subdivision. It's got certain advantages and disadvantages over other development strategies, but it works for me. So,
And so, because you've been in town planning for a while, why would you prefer land subdivision as opposed to, multi-unit dwellings or renovations or other types of value-adding strategies?
I think at the end of the day, I think why do I do land subdivisions? Because I have a lot more experience doing land subdivisions. I've got a good
Yes.
team around me.
Yes.
And because it's taken away a bit of risk, like if I'm doing multi-unit dwellings, I would then work very closely with a builder.
Yes.
And I guess in some ways the builder would be the risk in the project.
Absolutely.
With my job now, yes, I project manage, but I'm usually looking after engineers. It's just not so involved.
Yes.
I think it's quicker.
Yep.
And because I think the market isn't a great market at the moment,
Yes.
I want to be in and out of that market as quickly as possible.
Yep.
And where I'm doing subdivisions, which are taking 6 to 12 months to be in and out of the market,
Yes.
a multi-unit dwelling project may take,
18 to 24 months.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sure.
So it's a bit of a risk strategy, which I mainly use it for. Has its upsides, has its downsides.
Yeah, as every strategy does.
Yeah.
Cool. And so tell me at the beginning, how did you get into town planning? It's
Yeah.
not, how could you say, it's not one of those professions that everybody knows about, let alone get into. We
Yeah.
always get told to go for a white collar job, whether you're a doctor, a dentist, lawyer, being a town planner is absolutely a professional, but how did you get into it?
Yeah, it was the sort of thing where I went through high school not knowing what I wanted to become. The sort of things where you're getting towards the end of high school and everyone sort of says to you, you need to start thinking about your future, what are you going to do when you finish high school? And I had no real idea.
Yeah.
But I spoke to a career advisor and I said, I want to be a professional. I wanted to sort of have that career path.
Yeah.
But I also love the outdoors. I'm a very outdoor type person. So I wanted a bit of a mixture of those two, and to be honest with you, I almost sort of fell into it by mistake. If I didn't go to university, Mum and Dad said you're out working for the living and you have to bring an income. And I saw my brother at university having a great time. So I'm going to university,
Sure.
So what am I going to do? It's like, I'm going to do that.
Right.
So I almost fell into it. And sometimes I thought, why am I doing town planning? Because I walk into a room of town planners and just not relate to them. But I think I've since used that to my advantage.
Yes.
Because I think a lot of town planners are fairly, they look for what's wrong with things, not for solutions. And I guess what I've learned being a developer myself is, yes, there are problems, but the money's made in the solution.
Absolutely.
So I'm very proactive in trying to find solutions for not only myself, but for my clients as well.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit more about that. What is it that drives you to build a town planning business, and what service or add value do you feel that you add to your clients?
Yeah, the town planning business really came about by, I guess, I recognise with a lot of town planning firms and a lot of town planners how, I wouldn't say they're passive they are, but how, I spoke to a lot of them and said, do you develop yourselves?
Yes.
And a lot of them don't.
Yes.
And I asked them, well, why don't you develop? And they would say to me, well, it's too risky.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, this is crazy. These are the guys that work with the council all the time.
Yeah.
But also realise that they just by nature, they're a type of personality that troubles for things that are wrong.
Yes.
I thought, no, I'm going to build a business which is all about looking for what's right with things, being proactive, just providing that sort of that responsiveness to my clients. And I guess I wanted to bring that difference. Plus also sort of opportunities to do town planning a bit different to a lot of the bigger firms, which I kind of thought were getting a bit lazy and providing a sort of less than extraordinary service. So that was kind of our point of difference, and that is our point of difference.
Excellent.
So yeah.
Very good, mate. And in the land subdivisions that you're doing at the moment, what kind of land subdivisions or projects are you looking for?
Yeah, definitely. Generally in Brisbane. Not saying we can do other areas, but I think there's a big quick turnover in Brisbane.
Yes.
Anything up to probably 5 lot subdivisions aren't too difficult to deal with.
Yes.
I work with finance partners.
Yes.
So it depends on to some extent our capacity, because we go into a partnership with a finance partner.
Yes.
So I've got to work out what capacity we have as a team to see if the project can match that capacity. But doing a 4 lot subdivision pretty much right now, which is it's pretty easy and good margins and good time frames, good turnover.
Right. And do you choose those kind of size land subdivisions because the approvals are a lot smarter? Because there's a program called RiskMart, right? Where you can get approvals through quite quickly. Is that
That's
right?
Yeah. Depending on the nature of the project, you can get an approval as quickly as 5 days.
Yeah.
And depending on a lot of the subdivisions we're doing are small lots, so it's 5 days plus a notification period.
Yes.
But still, when you're talking about a 1 month approval process as opposed to going through 5 or 6 months approval through council. So the situation we had once where we actually, the day the contract got accepted, the offer got accepted, next day we had a surveyor there, within a week we had the DA lodged. Before the 4 weeks of due diligence was over, we had to develop an approval for a 2 lot subdivision. So all of a sudden the turnover is so much quicker.
Something that would have normally taken 6 months in the past?
Yeah, probably not 6 months, but at least 3 plus, if not more, you're doing it in a month. So
Not everybody's got their surveyor lined up ready to go and their plans ready to go, so You know, your typical mum and dad would take, 1 month to kind of get their act together,
Yeah.
and then the second, third month get the quotes in, and third month actually get the civils done. So
To be honest, I think you're nailing it. I think, I consider myself a pretty good developer.
yeah,
And I think the thing that I believe makes a difference is being not one step ahead of where you're at, being
Yeah.
2 or 3 steps ahead.
exactly.
Thinking, what do I need to do next? What if that goes wrong? What am I going to do to resolve that?
Yeah.
Right? What do I do after that? So always being so many steps ahead of what happens.
Yes, yes,
So that, and if things go wrong, preempting what you're going to do, how you're going to deal with the situation if it goes wrong.
yeah,
Because I don't think property developing needs to be all that time consuming
yes,
and all that difficult.
yeah,
But it takes some, sitting down and just, with a clear mind saying, okay, what am I trying to achieve here?
Yeah.
What could go wrong?
yeah,
And what are my strategies? Who have I got around me to solve
Exactly.
problems?
Yeah, yeah.
And who can I call upon at a pinch
Yeah,
to
yeah.
answer questions?
And I suppose when someone is working with someone like yourself as a town planner, they're not just buying you, they're buying the team that comes with you, isn't
Yeah.
it? The surveyors, the
Yeah.
engineers, the contractors, all of the contacts that you have, isn't it?
I think you're right, and I think, because my point of difference in business is to do things quickly for clients, I think
Yes.
time is money, absolutely, and
Yeah.
time's opportunity as well.
Yeah.
So by that nature, I've kind of attracted other consultants around me
Yes,
who know that I expect things done quickly.
yes,
So just by that nature, it just seems that a lot of my tasks put to the top of the list, not the bottom.
yeah,
And as a result of that, it just creates momentum,
yeah,
and things seem to go smoothly
awesome.
rather than dragging you out and there's time
Yes.
frames and there's
Yeah.
other issues and Christmas comes along, and it
Yeah,
sort of
yes.
drags out.
Yeah, I
So,
understand.
yeah.
So tell me then, as a town planner, what opportunities, with zonings and rezonings and changes that are in council at the moment, what opportunities do you see that are out there for the small developer, even the medium-sized developer, someone who's looking at multi-unit dwellings or land subdivisions, what opportunities would you say are out there for the right pickings at the moment?
Well, I might share with you a personal story I had an experience a couple of years ago. It was that I was looking at buying a property.
Yes.
And it was in the Ipswich Council area.
Yep,
And I looked around and the agent called me and said, hey, we've got a property for sale that kind of fits your criteria.
yep,
It was reasonably affordable property, 4 bedrooms. And I said, okay, I'll have a look at that. It was pretty close to the centre of the town. So I rang up council after that and said, oh, I'm looking at buying this particular property.
Yes.
What can you tell me about that particular property? And the town planner from council said, well, it happens to be we're looking at rezoning that property.
yes,
I'm like, okay, tell me more about that. I'm kind of interested.
yes,
And so we're looking at doing it commercial and residential uses, and it's
Yes.
going to be 4 stories.
yes,
So all of a sudden I've got a property which is being marketed and sold
Yes.
as a single house,
yes,
which has potential for 4-story mixed-use developments.
yeah,
So as a result of a rezoning.
yeah,
And the agent didn't know that, no one had done their homework,
Yes.
and all it took was a single phone call to council
yeah,
to work out that land had a higher and better use.
Mm.
It hadn't yet occurred, but it was imminent in the not too distant future.
yes,
So one of those opportunities is to buy land before it gets rezoned.
yes,
People say, Craig, how do you do that?
yes,
I think the way to do that is actually call council
yes,
and say, and the way you ask the question can be important is,
yeah,
whereabouts in your council area are rezonings going to occur?
yes,
So it's the way you preempt that they are going to occur, which they probably are.
Yes.
Whereabouts are they going to occur?
yes,
By doing that, you probably get a bit of a heads up of which areas that may go from being a single house on a
Yes.
big block of land
yeah,
to having subdivision potential,
Yeah.
to having multi-unit dwelling potential.
yes,
And I've had situations when I've worked for councils where properties are getting rezoned from low density to 8-story
Yes.
residential towers.
Yes.
Pretty big. And they'd have a council meeting, and as best council could notify the public and try
Yes.
to tell everyone what was going on. They would have a meeting at council, and you might get 30 people turn up
yes,
to find out about this sort of development. So
Mm.
a lot of the people out there who are looking to get involved with property developing, just to start to understand what rezonings may be occurring in council areas,
Yes.
you might be one step ahead, not only the owners of the land, but also the agents in the area,
Yeah.
in which case there's opportunities there.
yeah,
The other opportunities I'd probably say would be just being, it's not so much an opportunity, but choose a strategy. If it's one of the mistakes I see happen a lot,
Yes.
is I see people who want to become property developers,
Yes.
and 1 week they're doing this strategy, next
Yes.
week they're onto another strategy,
Yes.
and they're just all over the place.
Yes.
I believe is to find a mentor, find someone who's doing what you want to do,
yeah,
find out what their strategy is, and just choose their strategy.
Yeah,
try,
model them.
try and work with them. You might be
Yes.
able to add value to them, in which
Yeah.
case they can help you in return.
yeah,
So yeah, I think it's not so much a type of strategy, it's
Yes.
more so choose one that you feel has merit,
Yeah.
ask a lot of questions, and then let's stick to it.
Yeah,
And become
sure.
really good at it, because
Yeah.
it doesn't become long until you almost become a master of that strategy.
yeah,
Because most people, they don't research it that hard.
yeah. And I think the concept that we've called it changing channels, when you try this, then you try that, and you try
Yeah.
something else, it's changing channels. and then you never actually get good at anything. So, no, that's good. So you reckon that looking at rezoning areas is an opportunity, and I completely agree. I've got one under contract myself within about 7 k's of Brisbane CBD, 200 metres from the train station, and it's being rezoned from residential A to 5 stories. Right?
Yeah.
And I've got the contract subject to development approval for 2 years, and if the approval, the rezoning doesn't happen, that's fine. I just get my deposit back and life moves on.
Yeah.
So,
and they're out there, and they're not particularly well known.
Yeah.
It's surprising somewhat how many people are taking advantage of these opportunities.
Yeah. So one of the things I was going to ask you is in terms of being a town planner, what would you suggest when people are looking for a town planner? How do they interview a town planner? What signs they need to look for in a town planner to know that one, it's a good town planner to work with? Because like any profession, there's good ones, and there's bad ones. Some people say, real estate agents, they put them in a box and so they're all, silly salespeople. But there's always good and bad in any box in any industry, right? So tell me, just off the top of your head, what do you think?
The first thing is, well, let me tell you what I would do if I was choosing a town planner.
Yes.
Let's say I was to go to Perth. I don't do planning in Western Australia.
Yeah.
One of the first things I would try to do is find out who's doing the types of developments that you want to do in that area.
Yes.
So if you want to do multi-unit dwelling, who's personally doing multi-unit dwellings or units in that area, or doing subdivisions themselves?
Yeah.
Because I think if you find someone that's actually doing it themselves, they have a different level of knowledge.
Yeah.
They've got a different motivation for finding out ways to make things happen.
Excellent.
So things I'd be asking would be, how long they expect things to turn around. Just comparing one town planner, and I say, it might take 5 months on the town plan, so why which we do it 3.
Yes.
But also little things like, how long does it take them to do their quote?
Yes.
We generally achieve getting a quote out the next business day, if it's the same day.
Yes.
Some town planning firms will take a week
Yes.
to get a quote out. So it's taking them a week to get a quote out. How long is it going to take them to do the job?
Yeah.
But I think the final thing is you've got to just talk with them and just see if you can relate to them, because end of the day, I think particularly people who are watching our interview are wanting to become property developers,
Yes.
and it's a lifelong journey. And I think it's a knowledge gaining journey.
Yes.
And I think if your town planner seems to speak double Dutch to you,
Yes.
you're going to find it hard to learn from your town planner.
Yes.
In which case, you're not going to your personal knowledge. It's not going to increase that much.
Right.
But if you've got a town planner that kind of can relate to you and can talk in a language that you can understand,
Yes.
it doesn't make you feel like you're ignorant or stupid.
Yes.
Then I think that's going to help a lot, because it's not just this deal, it's the next deal and the next deal. So that gaining knowledge is really going to help you with taking the risk out and increasing your profits in future deals.
Yeah. Because I suppose that's what happens as you go along and you do more deals. What not only gains is your information, your equity of your knowledge and your experience, but also your confidence increases as you trust your team more and give them the opportunity to add value to the deals that you're doing. Like I know, in the past when I worked with either town planners or real estate agents or salespeople or people finding you deals, you got to find people that you experience that they add value to what you do. It's all well and good to have them on your team, but if they're just ticking boxes, you can get anybody to do that. You pay someone the same amount of money, but if they're adding more value to you, making you an extra 50, 100 grand a year, they're a worthwhile part of your team. So,
but just to add to that as well, is it's somewhat also taking responsibility, not only with town planners but with anyone in your team.
Yes.
Is asking them the really good questions, like how can I, rather than you can't, or how can I if I could. Asking, just putting things differently.
Yes.
And being really clear on what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
And then if someone says to you can't do that, and you're not satisfied with that answer, then keep asking around. Like maybe 3 or 4 people tell you the same thing, or maybe you're getting the right advice.
Yeah.
But not letting that one hurdle say, okay, you can't do it, it's too hard.
Yeah.
Keep going up to your finance you want to hear.
Yeah. Awesome. So Craig, if people want to get in contact with you, how do they get in contact with you?
Yeah, there's a couple of ways. Probably the 2 best ways would be to visit our webpage, which is www.asiplanning.com.au. Again, www.asiplanning.com.au. Or they can give us a call on 1300 087 899. Again, 1300 087 899. They're probably the best ways to get in contact with us.
Excellent. So, Craig, I want to say thanks for spending the time with us today and sharing your invaluable information. And we look forward to working with you in the future.
Yeah, I'd love to work with you. And as I mentioned earlier, your first phone call, it's a free phone call. I can help you quickly.
Yes.
I will.
Yep.
If it's going to take a longer time, then I'll explain that to you.
Yes.
But if it can help you, we'd love to be involved. So, yeah, thank you.
Great. Thanks, Craig.
Pleasure.
Cheers.